Take two. Welcome to Her Story Unstuck. My name is Fee King, your local fitness go-to girl, the body architect. I help women over the age of 40, specifically, yet not exclusively, get unstuck in their physical and their fiscal life. I created this group to support writers, creatives, whether you are currently writing, you're working on your first, second, third book, or you have not written anything. Maybe you journal. Maybe you're looking to create a pamphlet or a workbook or a study book. Maybe it's a documentary, a screenplay, whatever it is, whatever is in you is coming through you. And so this is the perfect group to support you, to edify you, to equip you, and to cheer you on and to celebrate your wins. This is the first of its kind coming into our group is our speaker series. And today we have the amazing, the talented, the beautiful Halona Black. So I was muted. I'm going to do this again. I'm super excited to read her bio again. Halona Black is a freelance writer, a meditative teacher. She's also an author herself. She is a book coach and a book consultant. She travels the world. And when I say the world, I mean the entire freaking A world. She writes about food, travel, technology, well-being. She since 2018, she has lived. Are y'all ready for this? Let me give Halona a drum roll. She has lived in 10 countries: East Africa, Southeast Asia, Europe, Latin America. Halona believes that writing is a powerful tool for fostering self-confidence and personal transformation. And I'm going to throw in there that travel, the two together. It's like a beautiful, happy, healthy marriage. Without further ado, bringing into her story is the one and only Miss Halona Black.
Hello, Fee. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
I love your work. I love what you stand for. I love how you present yourself and what you represent. And so it just made sense for you to be our very first speaker of the speaker series. And I know that it's going to grow and it's going to impact, inspire, and really light the fire under people who have a story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I love that.
without
Thank
further ado, do what you do, have fun. I will be here in the background if you need me. Just just say my name.
you. Well, thank you so much, Fee.
Enjoy.
Hello, everybody. Fee, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I love your energy. Anytime you're around, you always just bring a smile to my face. So I'm excited to be here to be able to share with your community a little bit about myself and what it is that I do. And hopefully, this session today will be able to help you with moving you forward with what it is that you want to be able to do with your life. Whether it's to be a writer or you have something else that you want to be able to do with your life. Um, Writing for me has always been a really great place to be able to start. Um, So I just wanted to start off by sharing just a little bit more about myself. As Fee said, today I'm living my literal dream. This has been a dream of mine since I was a kid, to be able to live my dream as a writer who gets to travel the world at the same time. And I get to write for magazines, I write for corporations, I work on books of my own, and I get to write about topics that quite honestly bring me joy. So things like personal development, food, culture, travel, well-being, and a lot more. So how did I get here? That's always a big question that everyone always has. So in 2018, I was 41 years old. I took one big backpack and I moved from the US to go to Thailand with the intention of really only being there for like 3 months. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. But I went there in search of improving my health and fulfilling my lifelong goal to travel and really just learn how other cultures live. I was never really satisfied with a life of living a regular 9 to 5 life and just taking a 2 weeks vacation a year. to be able to go see the world. That wasn't enough for me. So I needed to be able to do it full time. So since I had already started a freelance writing business, I figured I'd had enough clients to be able to take the leap, to be able to take the leap and go abroad. And so that's what I did. I originally left for 3 months, but of course, that 3 months has now turned into 6+ years. So at this moment, I live in Mexico in a tiny beach town called Playa del Carmen. And Mexico is my 10th country. So I've lived in Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia. I lived in Rwanda, Turkey, Laos, Myanmar. I think there was a couple of other countries that I probably missed in there. But in general, yeah, I feel like I'm living my dream that I've always wanted. But my life wasn't always this way. People just sort of think, that I'm lucky and they want to live vicariously through me. And I know all of these people, they mean the best. They mean the best when they say these things, but I'm not sure if they really want all the stuff that came with me trying to be able to get the life that I want. And really, what I want is for people to be able to really start, rather than look at me, you can be inspired by, what it is that I do. But I would really love to be an example of how to be able to sit down and do the work on yourself to be able to get the life that you want, because it is work. Um, and so there were a number of years where I kind of felt like my life was not working in the way that I wanted it to, even though I had done all the things I was told growing up was going to be able to bring me happiness. So, I did all the things. I went to school, I got married, I got jobs. But none of that stuff really sort of felt good to me. And for a time, I kind of felt like I had lost my voice. I lost my connection to myself. And so at the end of each day, I was left with the question I kept asking myself was, Halona, what do you want? And I knew what it felt like to not have what I wanted. But what was it that I really wanted to make me happy? That was the question that I really needed to ask myself. A lot of times we get stuck in these mind loops where we keep saying, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want that. We can always sort of detail what it is that we don't want, but we never really get into detail about what it is that we do want. And so I started to write these things down. And over time, I started to come up with a process. It's taken a long time. But what began as a simple practice of writing down my thoughts transformed into what I think is a really powerful tool for self-discovery. And that's what I now call meditative journaling. And so meditative journaling has helped me to reconnect with my own voice. I started to explore my own values, gain clarity on my goals, as well as help me to process emotions. So, in short, meditative journaling is really just a practice that sort of blends the reflective process of journaling along with mindfulness and meditation techniques. And so, unlike journaling, which can be more sort of straightforward or goal-oriented writing, meditative journaling is really helps you to focus on deep introspection, present moment awareness, as well as emotional processing. And it really encourages you as a writer to be able to slow down and turn your thoughts and feelings and any sort of body sensations that you may be experiencing and explore your own inner world with a sense of calm and openness. And so I'm going to share a little bit about how I actually use these tools. And if you have a journal with you or something to write something, you can sort of write the question that I have down, and in your own time, you'll have space to be able to answer the question for yourself. So first, let's take a look at journaling as a tool for self-reflection. And so meditative journaling as a tool for self-reflection, it helps us to step back and reflect on where we are now, what we want, and who we truly are. And it's like having a conversation with yourself, really. It's a chance to pause and gain insight into your own inner world. Um, so before I actually found the audacity to leave the United States and go travel around the world on my own, as a writer, I had to figure out a plan. What was I going to do? What do I want? What does it look like? How do I get there? And with conventional journaling or goal setting, you might be asked to start with, what do you want your life to look like? How do you want your life to look and feel in 5 years? But honestly, before I left, maybe 10 years or so before I had actually left, I really wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what I wanted my life to look like. I couldn't really give you an honest answer. Or maybe more accurately, I was afraid to say what I actually wanted my life to look like, because if I was honest about what I wanted, then I would risk looking silly. No one wants to look silly in public. So I didn't know anyone who had a simple life of writing and travel. So for me to be able to name it, sort of name it and claim it, that wasn't really a reality for me. Everyone I had ever known, they had jobs. They worked hard at jobs. And to be honest, they were jobs that they didn't really want to be at. So what I started to do was I unconsciously started asking myself, what makes me happy? I started to look for context clues in my current life, in my childhood. And what I found was that I really loved food, travel, and culture. Those were three things that always sort of came up in my life. And I found ways to be able to write about that. And I would write it in my journal, of course, but then, at the time, blogging was a big thing. And so I would write online. No one was reading my blog back then. But it was nice to be able to write it online and to be able to share. And so I would write about, food memories. I remember when I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Togo, and I went to magazines and cookbooks and food blogs and um, videos of making food. And this was my way of being able to interact with what I wanted in the future in the present moment. I got to be able to see and touch what I wanted without having to be there yet. And over time, I began to believe that this life that I wanted was possible. And so it gave me an opportunity to write my own self-reflections about what was important in my life without any judgment. And so if you have your own piece of paper and a pen, a napkin, whatever it is that you can write it on, doesn't really matter. I would just want you to ask you to think back to a time when you felt just pure joy, carefree, and truly alive. It could have been you as a child, during a recent vacation, um, maybe your favorite holiday, or even just a simple moment with a close friend. This moment doesn't have to be, big and momentous, because sometimes some of the most meaningful experiences that we have come from small things that we may have forgotten about. So just take a few moments to reflect on what that time is for you, and then write about it in as much detail as possible. And just sort of let the memory unfold as you write. What colors do you remember seeing or did you have on? Were you eating anything? What was the topic of conversation? What sparked the topic of conversation at that time? And just really start to write it down as if you're really reliving it. And what that will do for you is it will sort of get you into a feeling of joy of what it is that you felt back then. And so for people who have a hard time connecting with joy in their current life, this might be a way for you to be able to find some clues for as to what it is that you like, what you enjoy, what makes you happy. So that's our first exercise. A second point I wanted to make was journaling as emotional release. And so I used meditative journaling as a really powerful way to release sort of pent up emotions and to be able to process feelings um, that may have been difficult to express otherwise. So, journaling has allowed me to use my voice and my emotions without judgment or fear of other people's reactions. And so, I've used this process. In particularly, I can think about is I had gotten a divorce in my, I think it was, I don't even remember how old I was, but I think I was in my early to mid 30s. And it was honestly, it was the angriest that I had ever been. And it was just a multitude of feelings that I was going through at the time. I felt betrayed, lost. I felt unloved. I felt ashamed. There was a loss of identity. I didn't trust other people that were around me. Um, and so at this stage in the meditative journaling process that I wanted to be able to share, what I would do at the time is I would just take all of those emotions and I would spew everything out on the page. Because what I would do a lot of times when me and my ex-husband were together, there was always a lot of things that I needed to be able to say. But even after we had already separated, there was still stuff that I needed to be able to say. And so rather than look for another person or a place that was unhealthy for me to be able to express myself, I would turn to the page to be able to talk about what I needed to be able to release, what I needed to be able to say. And at least for a few moments, particularly back then, it made me feel better. It wasn't always perfect, even if it was just for the few moments of writing it down. I really learned that just expressing myself on a piece of paper was really um, helpful for me. So, an exercise for this for you is to really sit and think about something in your life that made you feel like you've been carrying a big weight about. It could be a decision that you regret. It could be a past mistake. It could be something that you believe you're still holding on to, whether it's related to a relationship, an action, or something you feel guilty about. Maybe it's an unresolved emotional wound or a pattern of self criticism that keeps resurfacing itself. And so, what you want to do here is just to be able to focus your writing on how you can offer yourself more love and compassion around that particular situation or behavior. And just write your feelings on a piece of paper. How do you feel about it? Can you give yourself any grace in this moment about that particular situation? And just sort of explore how that's making you feel in the moment as you're writing. You just want to be able to take a moment and really just think about, um, yeah, how it is the act of writing to yourself about yourself, how that makes you feel in the moment. You want to be able to make note of that while you're talking about that particular situation that you want to write about. The third point I wanted to talk about was journaling as a path to creative exploration. So, meditative journaling isn't really just a process of feelings and reflections, but it can also be a space for creative exploration. So, if you're an artist, literally, as if you write, you paint, you dance, you sing. Um, but even if you don't express yourself in some of those more obvious ways, I personally believe that all of us sort of live as artists in some way because we have to be able to create the lives that we want to have. So this the process of sitting down and creating what you want your life to be, what you want your life to look like, that in and of itself is a creative process. Um, and so I've done this recently um, in the last, before I moved to Mexico. I was in Turkey for 3 months and I needed to be able, I started to feel like, as much as I love traveling, it was time for me to be able to find a home. And so I kind of figured, I can go to Mexico and figure that out. I wasn't really sure if I would like it. I could sort of figure it out once I got there. Um, but I really needed to find a place where I can sort of find a home. And I needed to figure out what it is that I want out of my next life experience. Because I really wanted it to be purposeful. I didn't want it to be another stop in another country, knowing that I was going to leave it soon. I actually want to put roots down someplace. And so what I started to do was I started to journal about moving to Mexico. What could I take advantage of here while I'm here that would enrich my life? And how could I enrich the space of others where I'm going? And so I really wanted to be able to continue with my writing. I wanted to do more magazine writing um, because at the time I was doing a lot of work and working for corporations. I wanted to be able to take art lessons. During the pandemic, I just started doing watercolor painting on my own. I actually wanted to be able to go someplace where I can actually take lessons from people who actually do this for a living. And so I put that down. Um, I wanted to be able to have a really beautiful kitchen that has plenty of light so that I can cook and write and do more food writing, which I had done a bit in the past, but I really wanted to be able to take all the stuff that I've learned over the years, over my travels, and just learning on my own, and to be able to put it out as a full time food writer. And so I came to Mexico, and I'm still in the process. I've been here for a year now, so I'm still in the process of being able to figure out really what I want that to look like. And so I've been doing that, um, and it's really helping me to be able to figure out. Now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, well, is the town that I'm in, is this really going to work for me? And the answer is no. As much as I love being at the beach, I would rather be. There's another town called San Miguel de Allende, which is an artist town, and the place is filled with artists, filled with beautiful homes. Mexican art is everywhere. And I really love it. And I really think that that would be a really great place for me to be able to go. So I've been just journaling about what that experience might look like for me. So that, and I'm in journaling about it, I also watch videos about it and other people who have done similar things. And so I really want you to be able to take that on for yourself as a creative process of journaling. And so if you can just sit down and write for 5 or 10 minutes, just without censoring yourself, really just think about a dream or a desire that you've always wanted, you've always had, but you haven't yet pursued for whatever reason. And you just let yourself sit down and imagine the possibilities. Because I didn't start this whole thing with um, I didn't start this whole process of traveling for the last 6 years with me wanting to go someplace and paint. That really wasn't on my list. I knew I wanted to be a writer. I knew I needed to make some money, and and I needed to be able to fix my health. And my health was such a big deal at that time that I couldn't get to all those other things. And so this has been a process. So really think hard about for you, what does your ideal life look like? What's your next move for really creating the life that you want? Um, so yeah, so just write for 5 minutes about the dream that you've always had, and just allow yourself um, the ability to be able to think about what that would look like for you. How does it feel to be able to have this dream? What do you do on a daily basis? What are you drinking when you're engaging in the life that you want? Who are the people that are around you? Um, think about um, all the small details that you would want. Think about all the small details that you would want to be able to see in your ideal life. And so I think we are nearing towards the end of today's session. And I don't know if he wanted to take some time to ask questions, if there were any, But yeah, I just wanted to pose those three ways that you can use meditative journaling in your own life. And just I just wanted to be able to say thank you all for being here today, and being open to the possibility of opening yourself up to do all of the things that you've ever wanted to do. Because that, and there's still a ton of stuff that I want to be able to do, but because I've done the steps of writing everything down, and getting really close in contact with what it is that I want, it gives me more energy, just more belief that the next things that I want to be able to accomplish are going to be available to me. So, Fee, if you are there.
Of course I'm here. Woo! You've given us so much, Halana. Wow, you've given us so much. I want to do a few things, which is share some comments,
Mhm.
and I have a couple questions, and then we will ask how we can connect with you, continue with you, learn from you. Yeah. So let's start with a few comments, and then if anyone has questions. So I've been in the background and we have comments. Here's a couple I'll share. Robin Hackett, what's up, Robin? Robin says, I love this. Thank you. Fatima West says, I'm so deep in thought of creating my second half of my life to be just as I wish, and to actually create those or that life for myself. She also says, yes, she has given us so much. Let's see. Fatima says, oh, I used to write letters to me and to God every few years. That is beautiful. I am really, I'm really intrigued, Halana, with the meditative journaling. And I feel like we need to have a part two. We need to maybe discuss having you do some sort of virtual retreat in the group,
Mhm.
because so this is what spoke to me personally. And so one of the things that I don't do enough of is journaling, because I think someone might find it and read it after
Mhm.
I'm dead, right? I'm like, why are you worrying about that? And something happened recently. My cousin transitioned.
Mhm.
We've been having a conversation about her story. And I said to her, I said, you better not die and not tell your story and
Mhm.
leave it up to me to tell it. She was like, I'm giving you permission. And so when we were no when we both realized that she's coming to the end, she said, oh, by the way, don't forget to go get my journals. And I
Mhm.
still haven't opened them because I'm like terrified of
Mhm.
what I'm gonna take on. And you've really inspired me to start journaling just with freedom and not
Mhm.
worried about what if someone sees what I've written. Can you speak to that? Maybe helping me come up
Yeah.
a way to push past that?
Yeah. I think the writing helps us to become more brave in
Mm.
how we're living. If you can't write it down, you can't live it.
Oh, that's so
I really wish that my mom passed away when she was 49 years old. I'm 47 years old now. And so there are times in my life where I really wish I knew who my mom was as an adult woman, without kids and the husband and all that other stuff. Like, who was
good.
she as a human being? What
Yeah.
was important to her? And if she had had journals, um, that would have really just helped me to develop um, into the woman that I want to be. Let her be who she is.
Mm-hmm.
But just if I had had that to be able to look at, I think that would have been helpful to me to be able to feel like I could have a relationship with her, even after she had already passed.
Right. That is,
Hmm.
whew. Yeah, that's good. That is so good. Yeah. Okay. That is so good. Woo. Wow. So I
Yeah,
feel like,
your cousin may have messages for you in her journals to learn something about her that you maybe you didn't know that maybe could help other people and yourself.
yes. And I tell you, I'm gonna do it. I have a
Mhm.
little more courage after this series with you. I don't know if I'm there right now because I'm like
Yeah. Uh-huh.
literally I'm like, you have not opened these journals because I'm terrified. However, I also believe that I can be terrified and do it anyway. I can
Mhm.
experience fear and do it anyway. And so I
And you
will.
can do it slowly. You can do it slowly. You don't have to do it all. You can take one and start there and see where it goes.
Yes. Thank you. Lastly, I'll share this with what I love about this social media forum, being able to connect with people. Because, by the way, y'all, Halana and I have never met in real life. We don't know one another personally. I just resonate with her content. I met her maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Halana, and I interviewed you when you were living in, was it Rwanda?
Yeah. In
She's,
Rwanda, yes.
yeah, when I was living in Rwanda. I love that. And I was and still am so fascinated by your journey. And I'm glad that we have this ability to do this. And so, with this comes an element of discovery. We get to discover what's possible for all of us because I just wanted you to share your story, inspire people, talk about what you do, how you do it, why you do it. And Fatima says here, she says, I want to, she said, virtual retreat. My goodness, yes.
Mhm.
I feel like that is going to be in the works brewing a virtual retreat to really help people get these stories out, help them to. I think one of the things that I've struggled with is commitment to writing, like having a schedule. I
Mhm.
tend to write when I have more accountability, and
Yeah.
that for me is in a class environment. I
Mhm.
mean, and I write and I love it, and time just seems to fly by, and I like to be held accountable and to
Yeah.
have check-ins and all of those things. And so if you are open to that, we will have that conversation in the new year.
Mhm.
Halana, how can people, can I share how, well, why don't you talk about what you have coming up and then I'll share the link.
Sure. So I do every week. I meet with a group of Black women writers. It's called I call it my Wednesday AM meditative writing circle. And it's very similar to what it is that I've shared here, except for we meet for an hour on Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern. And I offer the question to the group. The group has 5 to 7 minutes to be able to write their responses. And then there's time for sharing. And what I'm finding in the group is that people really love it because it gives them an opportunity to start their day off with their own creativity. Some of them are digging up dreams that had long been buried and they've forgotten about, and they're like, maybe I should spend some time doing this thing that I used to really love but haven't done anything about it. And to be able to connect with other women who are doing the same thing, because it's really easy for us to be able to get lost in our own little corners of the world or even on the internet when you feel like you're by yourself and you have dreams, but the people around you may not be all that supportive of what it is that you'd like to do.
Yeah.
And so my group is really supportive. It's uplifting. We don't do whining. This is, there's tears sometimes, but it's usually tears of joy, tears of just finally being able to release whatever it is that's been holding them back and feeling like I can move forward now
Yeah.
with my life, which I think is a big deal.
I
There's
agree.
no cost to the group, and so
Okay.
and I don't want to charge. What I do have
Mm.
is some other things, other programs and things that I do that in the future I'll be offering for a fee. But this group, I really just want people to be able to show up and enjoy themselves and be able to get themselves into the process of writing and meditation at one time.
Well, I speak firsthand. I've attended once. It's sometimes it's a conflict, but I feel like I'm the conflict. actually. I feel like, because I'm flexible and fluid, I can open myself up to moving some things around. Um, and so I will, let's see, this Wednesday. Yeah, I'm gonna be there Wednesday, and I'm going to corral some folks in the group. I'm gonna post the link in the group, and I'm gonna share and invite some other people to join me, because again, I'm really big on accountability. I'm in the process of finishing rewrites for my book that's going to drop soon. And so I need more writing time. Sekou
Mhm.
asked me tonight, he was like, so what's going on with your book? I was like, we're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. And so I will be there. I'm giving you my word, 8 a.m., 8 a.m. Yeah, I will be there 8 a.m. And I'm going to bring in Fatima West and everyone else in her story. Halana, thank you so much, and I look forward to you. And this may be presumptuous of me, but that's okay. I look forward to you coming back, blessing the group, and us creating a virtual writers retreat of some sort.
I love that. I
All
really
right,
would.
awesome. Be blessed, and thank you so much. And I'll see you very soon. Okay.
Thank you so much, B.
All right. Peace.
Peace. Have a great day.
You too. Fam, that was Halana Black. She said yes. She gave us her time, her talent, her talents, her gifts. And I tell you, there's so many things that I wanted to ask Halana. One being, why Mexico? Why now? So, Halana, if you're listening, why Mexico and why now? I was just sharing with my barista at La Cafe coffee shop in New York City, Hell's Kitchen, because he's going to Playa del Carmen for the first time for New Year's in early January. And we're talking about, I shared with him, I said, I've been to Playa del Carmen. And I tell you, there was this insurmountable amount of peace that I experienced in that country. I remember it being very, very dark, meaning the sky was super dark. You could see some stars, but it was so dark. And the weather, even though it was hot and humid, there was this breeze that would wash over me. I just remember being really, really happy. It was the first time I'd ever flown Aviata airline. And I was like, I've never heard of this airline. Like, am I going to get on this airplane and it's going to just fade off into the black abyss because I never heard of it? It was such a delightful experience. And I remember that airplane only had maybe 15, 20 passengers. For real, y'all, I was scared. I was scared. But I said, I'm committed. I have the ticket. I'm on here. It gave me everything. Playa del Carmen, you owe Fee King nothing. And so again, Halana, I'm curious as to why Mexico, why now? All right, y'all, stay tuned. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being here. This is something I've been wanting to bring to the Her Story Unstuck community ever since I started this community. And so here we are. And I think the takeaway is that now is better than perfect, and proper preparation prevents poor performance. And so I needed to mentally and emotionally be prepared. I hope that you'll come back. I hope that you'll share and that you'll join this community. And most importantly, I hope that you will write. I know that I am going to write tonight, and I am going to at least crack open one of my cousin's journals. I'm Fee King, your local fitness go to girl, the body architect, and I will see you on the other side. All right? Peace.